So this story with Jonathan Majors is ongoing with his arrest a few days ago and now these charges of assault and strangulation. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on this update here from the direct. There's been folks talking about this all day because there's different perspectives and to look at this. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on this situation here with Jonathan Majors and what's going on. If you're new to World of Geekdom, hit the subscribe button. I normally don't cover stories involving like actor real life drama, quote unquote. Once in a while I'll cover it. Maybe I should, because apparently according to the analytics, you guys really like this, these topics, and you guys like talking about it. And what I want to do is really start and this might be asking for too much here, but I trust you guys. I want to start a conversation in the comments about this because there's a couple different ways to look at what's going on here when it comes to Majors. The other day I said, innocent until proven guilty. Let's see what happens. He will have his day in court because I feel like everybody should have that opportunity. Does that mean that what the judge says or what the jury says is going to count? Like, in other words, even if he's stated to be innocent, does that mean he is? Not necessarily, but we still need more information to come out. However, this is an interesting story. Shares girlfriend's text messages to prove innocence. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this, and I'm going to go over them here, and then I want to hear your thoughts down below and see which way you lean towards. So, basically what's happening is Jonathan Majors' lawyer, it says it here, shared new evidence and comments from the Marvel actor's girlfriend refuting the assault allegations following the arrest. So she's basically saying, no, he didn't strangle me. Says here, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania star, was taken into police custody and charged with assault on the morning of March 25th in a New York City apartment. And then he said he's completely innocent and provably, and is provable, but provably the victim. Oh, I'm sorry about that, y'all. But the investigation's ongoing, as it should be. If you get in trouble, even if you're guilty, you're probably going to say you're innocent. The investigation must continue. And it's going to continue. Now, Jonathan Majors' lawyer is showing screenshots of text messages that were sent from his girlfriend, who he allegedly, I guess, put his hands on. Now, something else that I covered in another video, which I will leave a link to at the end of this one, is I covered people from within the industry, directors and I guess co-workers of Jonathan Majors, discussing how the guy can be pretty abusive, according to them. This is not stated, this is not a testimony or they weren't witnesses to this. It's just stuff they were saying. Now, again, somebody can be an a-hole and it doesn't mean they're necessarily somebody who puts their hands on or assaults somebody else, right? They're not the same thing, you understand? So it says here, the attorney basically said that it was NYPD protocol that he be arrested due to certain circumstances. I talked about this the other day. And this is a little bit of information for some of you young guys out there, okay? Listen to what I'm saying. If you are around a person, woman or man, but especially a woman, and she calls the cops and says that you put your hands on her, you may end up going to jail even if you didn't. Now, I'm telling you that because you got to be careful who you spend your time with and who you're around, because allegations can come from people who have a vendetta against you. And I'm not saying that this is the case for Majors and his girlfriend. I'm saying that you got to be careful, because if somebody calls the cops on you, even if you didn't do anything wrong, you're still going to get arrested, because they have to arrest you, book you, and get you in the legal system. I'm only saying that as a cautionary tale to people out there, and it goes both ways. Now, the attorney says that Majors' girlfriend disavowed any allegations. I want to read this right here. This is actually a quote from the lawyer. She says, the police arrived with the paramedics as is standard procedure and arrested Mr. Majors due to an NYPD protocol requiring arrest in certain circumstances. That's what I just talked about. On that same day, only 7 and 9 hours later, the woman sent text messages to Mr. Majors admitting that she was the one who used physical force against him. And I talked about this the other day, y'all, about how sometimes in toxic relationships, and I'm not saying that's what's happening here, listen to what I'm saying, I've seen and been around relationships where both the man and the woman beat each other up, like physically hurt each other. Not in my presence, but I've had friends of mine, both men and women, which I don't hang out with anymore because of this, get arrested for physically fighting, like both ways. And even though I was raised by my dad never to put my hands on a woman, sometimes a woman will hit you. It's happened, and vice versa. And I'm not saying you should do it, but people have done worse. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm only saying that because I want you guys to kind of learn from this, regardless of the outcome. It's whenever you see a story like this, y'all, I always try to learn from it, even if I'll never do it. You understand what I'm saying? You got to go through life like that sometimes to avoid pitfalls. So the lawyer says she also disavowed any allegations that he had done anything to her and confirmed that Mr. Majors called 911 because of her mental condition. These are those messages redacting the woman's name for privacy. So he called 911 on her. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to see if I can blow this up for you guys. These are the text messages. This is her texting him. Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. Well, we don't know about that yet. They said they had to arrest you as a protocol when they saw the injuries on me and knew that we had a fight. Okay, so she had injuries on her, okay? That's already bad, guys. That does not look good for Mr. Majors, just the fact that she had injuries on herself. That's going to be viewed negatively, especially by the prosecutors. You understand that? I'm so sorry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're out. I love you. Okay. This right here, there's two ways to look at this, guys. One way to look at it is based on just literally what she's saying and taking it at her word, which is they got into a physical altercation. She tried to grab his phone. So she initiated the physical contact. However, if she tried to grab his phone and he hit her, that's not good. That is not good. Or they hit each other, right? This almost implies that that's what happened. I remember a long time ago when I was younger, I overheard this couple fighting in public near a place where I used to live. Long time ago. And I remember I heard this girl, like Spanish girl, she was like, "Give me back my phone." And he grabbed her phone. They were in the car. She was kicking the car like, dude, you know what I'm saying? It'd be like that sometimes. So the second text message says, they just called again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper they gave me about strangulation and said point blank, this does not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told this. She assured this to me. I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior out of care. She promised all will be relayed. So, again, two ways to look at this, guys. You got to really think about this. Let's get the conversation going down below, but please be respectful and please be understanding, because normally when I talk about things here on World of Geekdom, it's all like fantasy stuff and like, like movies and, animation and video games. This is real life. And you got to look at things from a real life lens here. A lot of my friends have said that this makes him look worse, because it almost comes off like she's a victim and that she's being abused by him and that she's basically one of those victims that blames themselves, right? Which happens a lot with dysfunctional relationships. You see this a lot with narcissistic, codependent relationships. If you want to learn more about this, go to YouTube and type in narcissistic codependent and you'll hear a lot of therapists talk about this. Y'all know I'm into therapy and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Well, what'll happen is you'll have a narcissistic person, and have you ever heard of this where a guy will beat up on a woman, right? Actually physically assault her, and then she'll say, "No, it's my fault. I shouldn't have antagonized him." This happens a lot, guys, with people who are codependent, And it takes a lot of therapy to break that, right? This comes off like that to some. Now, to others, it comes off like this was way overblown and that they got into it physically. He may have pushed her with his arm on her neck. Maybe there's a bruise there. I don't know. We don't have any pictures of this to confirm or deny, right? So there's two different trains of thought here. She could be a victim. He could be a narcissist. It could be a situation where he is abusive to her and she is blaming herself, thinking it was overblown, maybe even thinking that maybe she's not an abused victim. Maybe she just realizes that the whole thing was overblown and she doesn't want it to go to court. Maybe she does love him. We don't know. The problem is that too many people read headlines and they're quick to judge. And I'm not like that. Maybe because I'm older. I'm 38. Maybe that's why. Like, I'm an older guy. Now, I wouldn't say I'm old. I'm not even like anywhere near like 50. I would consider old like 60, right? But I've lived life and I've seen a lot of things, man, from both genders, or multiple genders, I should say, because you got to say multiple now. You know what I mean? From men and women. Or it could be that, again, she thinks it's overblown or maybe she is abused. Either way, these text messages now really seem to indicate that there definitely was physically something going on. He has to be really careful. It says here, we'll share a new update on this as soon as it becomes available. Jonathan Majors, if he is innocent, he really needs to be careful with what he does and, who he associates with. Because if I were Jonathan Majors and I'm innocent and I'm blowing up, I'd be real careful who I dated. It would almost be paranoia, y'all. But if he's guilty and she's just caping for him, it's going to take a lot more than just her testimony to take him down. It'll be more, because if she's going to be on his side, she'll testify on his behalf. If there's other people that are witnesses to him being abusive to her, that will also come out. Again, this story is still pretty new. It's been less than a week. But I wanted to give y'all an update, and I feel like I'm one of the only people on YouTube who is looking at this from an adult, mature perspective. I'm giving you two different scenarios, and there may be more than that. It's up to you to figure out what you think is going on. But like I said, we need to wait and see. And I'm not saying this because I'm a fan of Jonathan Majors, it's not about that. I was a fan of O.J. Simpson before he did what he did. And when he did what he did, hey, buddy, you did what you did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like I was cool with it. I'm not one of those guys that worship celebrities and thinks they can do no wrong. That's a very unhealthy way to look at things. I'm the opposite. But there's not enough details yet for any of us to really come up with a conclusion. Let me know what you think. I'll talk to you down below.